Hello and welcome everyone to a Sacred Symbols reading. I'm your host, Desiree DeMars, and I am keeping the reading very succinct today. I already made an offering and said a prayer to call in all the directions, the elementals, the guides, angels, teachers, ancestors, all those seen and unseen forces that are here guiding us today. So just taking a few deep breaths, allowing one or two to come in through the nose and out through the mouth. Simply allowing the head, neck, and shoulders to relax and your spine to sink further down into your cushion. And through these breaths, I'd like you to open the heart center and imagine the heart opening and aligning with the head, a brilliant white light coming down from the heavens and anchoring us all the way down to the center of the earth. And as it flows back up, creating that sacred space, awakening the polarities within, coming into alignment with direct source, the superconscious, and acknowledging the energetic frequency at each chakra: joy, peace, strength, gratitude, humility, and divine love. And from that place, tune in to your heart's desire, the information, the clarity, the wisdom, the guidance that you're seeking for today's reading. And then together, we are going to blow into the basket 3 times. So from that heartfelt space, with gratitude and appreciation for being, for sitting in this sacred circle of divine love, and being the highest vibration, the highest frequency for the benefit of all. May these 3 breaths carry those wishes into the symbols. And let me tip the screen down so you can see it. Here we go. Let's get that up a little bit further. Something did fly off the table. Let's see, it was here. The chakras. Third eye. So that's interesting. Our little third eye went flying off today. Well, this one almost went rolling off. Here we go. Just trying to tip this up a little bit. See if a little bit better view. There we go. And let's see what's going on today. So the inquiry is here. The inquiry. This beautiful V of coral right next to the spiral of this kind of unfolding, this unwinding, this evolutionary process of holo movement. An interesting little collection here. Look at the beautiful, how the coins kind of weave through like a river. It's almost like in my coaching work, when we look at the desired result versus the current reality, we call that sometimes the resistance that pops in along the way, the river of desire, that we're navigating this river of desire. And along the way, part of the nature of the duality of this planet is to have resistance or blocks keeping us from getting there smoothly, right? So this river of desire coming out, and it's beautiful, it's curved, and then it meanders into this beautiful spiral I see here. So this is the shaman, here's your blueprint, and here you are. This piece here resting right on top of Pluto. Kaboom, right? Big changes. Second chakra, heart chakra, crown chakra. Big changes happening to all of our energy centers, actually. And this desire, this intention that you're holding when these symbols landed. What is really beautiful about that is the wish token is right there, and a big star in the center. So wish upon a star. What do you wish? What are you wishing for? Really allow the wish to come through with clarity. And then right there next to that is Venus, the moon, the dark side of the moon, which is so interesting. I think we're still in the tail, or maybe the middle of this last new moon, and then we have Uranus. So big changes, sudden, unexpected, like lightning, things just hitting you, bam, boom, bam. But I think what's important here is, with all this love, truth, beauty, the emotions, heartfelt desires, what is here too, right next to it, is it's time for receiving this aspect of all of these coming through the sense of innocence, right? This dear toe. And what we're talking about too here, when you're taking time to reflect and really tune into what's going on with yourself in a frequency level, and seeing how it affects this is an interesting mirror here, right? The frequency and then the body, as in body, mind, spirit, kind of mirroring this idea of tuning into the energetic, the subtle frequencies, right? The subtle energy levels, and do some reflecting on that. It'd be a good week for that, which it would be, because of, the phase of the moon. It's a good time to revise and look at what it is we want to create. And here, I would say the key element is that it's about work, the work in the world, the work that you do as a soul, as a spirit, with your true nature and purpose. And here's Mars. Mars is really kind of calling out, and really Mars can often feel like a push or a calling, an inspired action. And the ancestors that are right here, this is interesting. We've got the grandfathers, both on the maternal side and the paternal side. Grandfathers. Yes, grandfathers. I just kind of taking that in, grounding that idea of grandfathers in your life, both sides. And here's Jupiter. So taking note, just think about, just a pause for thought this week to think about the grandfathers in your life and what they represented to you, what kind of energies came through them to you, how did they influence your world? It's almost like they're here to bring some support and reflection into what you're feeling is really being amplified in your life right now. Here's drum. And then this is interesting, kind of another pairing. We've got the grandmothers. maternal and paternal. And as you're reflecting on grandfathers, think of your grandmothers this week and look at what it is. Who of these, how did they inspire, even just through their being? Maybe many of us feel weren't taught anything from our grandparents, but simply by their behavior, they were teaching us, they were reflecting something to us. And for the women, the grandmothers, look at what was going on the mental plane for them and what kind of lessons you got, and what was going on with community. They were obviously representatives of community for many of us because they were the cooks. They brought everyone together to provide for. That's what this elk horn is about. Community. The elk are communal, supportive of each other. Right, so this is interesting. We have 6 here. So how are things kind of lining up with your grandparents, both maternal and paternal, grandmothers, grandfathers? How are they playing in? How are they being woven in to this blueprint, this spiritual journey that you're on? And here is the great ones on your mother's side, the maternal great grandparents, the greats and the great greats and the great great greats. So very interesting. And on the outer side here this is a young adult and a child in the maternal lineage. So, not only could this be somebody that is alive in our life now, but it could be ourselves at those times in our life, just looking at that in relationship to what was your relationship like with your grandfathers and your grandmothers. So interesting, because here's a young one too. That's another little parallel here. Yeah, very interesting. So, and especially the pairing is here with the child, that childlike part of yourself, or the youngest children in your family lineage right now. They could represent those too. And as we move through this spiral here, we're looking at the element of water. When you're feeling emotional, just really tuning into the emotions. Let the emotions be something that is a creative force in this journey that you're on. And this is interesting that we've got the mind, and I kind of tipped that over a little bit, but the 4, which is representative of this foundation. In fact, I can see the 6 and the 4. You can see the 1 possibly. But this foundation, what is aligning? What's aligning in your family lineage through the grandparents? What do you think came into alignment to help create this foundation that you live from, the beliefs? This is key, actually. And here is the other. Could be a partner or somebody that you are involved with. Could be a husband, a wife. But you might be feeling, here's transfiguration, and right next to the bone that represents a fork in the road. So if you're feeling this fork in the road alongside of a relationship as part of what's going on in a relationship, it's no surprise, because here's transfiguration. So there's big changes for both you and this other person. Big changes in structure, big changes in the creative aspect of the life's blueprint that's unfolding here. And also big changes in the collective, because here we have Frog on his back, which is very interesting. So Frog on his back, the collective evolution of our souls, kind of here like the hangman, looking at everything from a new perspective. This little bone is about that which is not yet created. It's right next to our base chakra. So there's something about again, foundation, something fundamental, something grounding us. Something is not yet created that is very helpful for us when we're trying to be grounded, when we're intending to be grounded, when we are ungrounded and we're wanting to be grounded. First chakra. And also on a probably a physical level, you know, really supporting the blood, right? And giving ourselves the nutrients, the sunshine, feet on the earth, grounding ourselves to support that base chakra. And in the greater circle here, we've got just kind of, we've got the sun, which is really interesting, right next to the greats on your father's great grand family, right? The sun and the fathers, the great greats that went before you, the ancient ones here. Here's the ancient grandfathers also on your father's side, resting right on top of Saturn. That's no accident. So we've got something going on here. There's something in the air here about great grandparents. The sun that we're being influenced by now, these massive changes. It's affecting the whole constellation, right? Our soul family, and having to look within, right? The eagle condor is here. Right next to the DNA and with the lock. So that's interesting. The lock and the key here. The lock next to the DNA. So, you know, what I'm hearing, I just got chills even thinking about it, is, you know, when we're kind of looking and we are working on these levels of great grand lineages, you know, our grandparents and our great grands, of course, most of us know nothing about them. Or we may know a few stories and that's it. We don't know if they're absolutely true. We are having to depend on piecing information together, or even just our own intuition, our own inner sight to give us guidance about the energetic forces that were at play and that we're now trying to reweave, or cords maybe we're looking at letting go of and releasing. So it's not always an easy task. So much of it is like, you know, we are doing the work of the shaman, you know, which is seeing in the dark. We're having to do this work in the dark. And so just really trusting this idea of reflection, bear, you know, the emotions that come up when we take time to go into the cave, we take time to go within and to receive or just be with our own reflection, our own insight, our own introspective space, our own introspective abilities, right? To have clarity of mind through that process, because that's part of the rebirthing. Here we have a passion. Is there something going on in your life right now too that you're really feeling like you want to rekindle or reignite a passion for it? Because there's like a bridge here with this idea of grounding yourself, you know, receiving protection from the groundedness I talked about with this first chakra, base chakra, and in nature. Yeah, there's like a bridge here via this experience or this process of rebirth, and then receiving higher wisdom from it, right? Crown chakra, opening heart and crown aligned, the angelic forces. We're tuning into those more subtle frequencies, those more subtle energies. It's time to move in that direction. Here's another little bridge. We have make a wish about your home, your house. It's sacred. Do ceremony. Here's Father. Vision. What is your new vision? And bridging that to this idea of Buddha here, you know, Buddha being the realization, having your own realization, right? which to me, I'm getting chills now just thinking of this. What's kind of been coming up this last week even was in conversations and other work that I'm doing. The phrase came through for me of we are being called right now to create our own initiatory experiences, whether we do them in community, which is wonderful. It's always beautiful. And it's always a blessing to be seen in community, right? There's a lot of power in being recognized, being seen in community right next to maternal grandmother. But there's also an aspect of where we're now, many of us don't have, again, it's a time where we are may or may not be, because, definitely because of COVID, and then not feeling as connected to our ancestors. And so there's definitely create from your heart's desire, right? The higher mind seeking the initiatory, the revolutionary, the evolutionary process to begin unfolding for us so that we can have clarity, insight, wisdom about how to proceed into the future. And in fact, as I'm saying that, what's dead center here? Abundance. Oh, the throat chakra, yeah. The throat chakra and a little timekeeper, which is very interesting, resting on a young adult next to Mercury and Neptune. So yeah, things might get a little foggy now and then, but know that the nature of this planetary experience we're having here is abundance. There's abundance of everything. And here's our little Earth star, that chakra below our feet, really connecting again into this idea of grounding. And the time, now the timekeeper, here they are, very close to each other. These little cowrie, I think they're a cowrie shell, but they're both facing the same direction. So again, I think this happened last week. It's not really a time for maybe a huge breakthrough of a movement, but we're internalizing. It's more like the phase right now, maybe even because of the new moon, it's about forming, creating like a seed energy where we're forming the seed pod, we're forming the ingredients, we're stirring up the pot, right? We are putting the ingredients in, we are taking time to let things boil, we're taking time to be introspective. And it's a beautiful way to kind of pause, it's like being in the pause between, it's the place in between the manifestation and the seed having been planted. So it's like now we're in the stirring, we're stirring things up. We are creating something new from these different parts, these parts that we're now having revealed to us by our inquiry, our request from our ancestors, from the grandparents. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So this next generation, or the generation before our parents, to be really calling in and doing some work on that level with the grandparents and really stirring things up internally, getting everything in the mix. And, the stirring also allows for that is like the percussion. We know like if we were making flower essences or doing alchemy with our ingredients, often one of the old methods for percussion was to tap it, stir it, right, shake it, to activate. Kind of, it's like breaking things up the way they are in separated form and then bringing them together in a new form. So, in fact, I know one of the ways to activate the vagus nerve throughout the body, just help the brain kind of find a place of balance, is to kind of do this karate chop, this activation here. I think they use this, actually this is a move too in tapping, right? That's what it's activating, right? This very fundamental and foundational aspect of ourself, this root chakra, our base, our foundation, so that things can line up and create stability. We're shaking things up, gaining the insight, stirring things up, and then creating a whole new frequency from which to move forward, right? The information that is received during the process is sparking a new level of passion within us, which creates like a rebirth, a sense of rebirth, and brings into our knowing that we can create anything we want. That's the new affirmation. That's the new understanding that we can create anything we want. Just knowing that sometimes in the process, it's not a straight line. I mean, rarely do we see a straight line in these readings, right? Sometimes there'll be triangles, but then those represent action, actually. So, any kind of formation you see is pretty organic. Everything is flowing and moving in a very flowing way, just like the rivers. So maybe that is the general message overall today. Go with the flow. Give yourself time for reflection and introspection. The key is to, yes, trust your divine feminine to bring clarity as you go through this process. If you're feeling that there's something going on with another, a partner, could even be just a work partner, a co-worker, somebody that you're co-creating with or in creation with, you might be feeling like there's a fork in the road, there's something emotional, and yet there's something very transformative happening, right? This is transfiguration, the eye of God. And what did I say we had here? Oh yeah, well, I didn't mention this, but this is this is abundance. So abundance, just know there's an abundance of possibilities. That's what I would say. And what I said here was abundance, but this is the earth. So the grounding at the center is, again, back to what was shown here, right? The grounding. So once we shake everything up, we have to reground it to make it manifest in form. And underlying that is that throat chakra, right? Once we have the formula, we have the understanding, we can speak it. We can express the truth, the higher truth. Then this is what we're seeing here with this shard and the cross and the spiral. Kind of as we flow, as we evolve, we will find that then when things are lined up, we can speak our own truth from the highest frequency within us. And it then multiplies as it spirals out into the universe. So, my friends, I hope this was informative, was resonating with you. I know it was a little different, a little different than past readings, but it felt right. It felt like a day simply to be, too, without too much information, too much specifics. And with that said, I just would like to express my gratitude and appreciation for your presence, your participation, and I hope that you like and share what you have been receiving with others so that this YouTube channel can grow. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, or have a wonderful next week. Aho.